Here I go. I'm about ready to cut down this eucalyptus tree. It's too bad. A couple of years ago it was a nice tree. Last year it showed signs of dying, and I put fertilizer on it and I put water on it, and it began to sprout around the bottom, and I thought I was going to be able to save it. But then this summer came along, and it was a couple of warm days. We had a dry spell, very hot, around over 100 degrees, and I looked up and most of the tree was dead. So, time to cut it down. You see me cutting the notch right there now. I take a lot of care on cutting a notch, because the notch is the most important part. That's what makes a tree fall where you want. You can see that I've cut off some of the larger branches, low branches on my side of the tree there. That was to take the weight off that side, and therefore the tree should fall the opposite direction. So with this tree I didn't bother to put a rope on it, because I'm pretty confident it'll fall in the direction I want. You can also hear that the saw is not digging in real well. It's running very fast. That shows that the tree is dead, and there's very hard wood inside, so it's not really getting a very good bite. The tree is a little bit over 2 feet in diameter. The saw I have is a Husqvarna 45. It's an 18-inch bar, so I have to run around the tree a little bit to get it all the way through. At this point here, I notice that the crack where I'm cutting is starting to open just a little bit, which is a good sign. You want it to open up. You don't want to see it squash down on your saw. So here, just to be sure, even though it seems to be opening up, I'm putting a wedge in. The wedge will make sure that my saw doesn't get pinched inside the tree, and I'll be able to get the saw out, and that the tree will go the way I want it to. So we're just about finished here with the cut. There it goes, right on schedule and right in the proper direction. I was trying to hit between two trees so that the fallen tree would not get hung up in another one. So the next project now is to cut the stump off. I cut it high because that was a narrower part of the tree, and also it was easier for me to cut up there. The tree was not so thick. I was able to more easily get through the diameter. That's the hinge. Looks like it came out very nice. I usually put a string around the tree and mark it with a felt pin to make sure that my saw cut intersects the notch at the right place. And there it is on the ground. The fun part is cutting it down. The bad part is trying to clean all that mess up. It's going to take a lot of time to saw all that up. Fortunately, I have a friend down the road who's going to cut most of it and take the wood, but all the brush I need to cut up and take to a burn pile. So now I've managed to cut through the stump, and there it goes. You can see it's a pretty good sized stump. There's my trusty old 20-year-old Husqvarna chainsaw. The tree is pretty dead and old, and I'll probably have to sharpen the saw again just after this one tree, because the tree was dead, very hard, and it I'm sure dulled the saw pretty good. Now you can see I've cut up the remaining stump in the ground. The reason I do that is I intend to let it dry out for a year, and then I will put a fire on top of it, and hopefully I won't have to dig it out. I used to dig stumps out, but it's just too hard now. It's a lot easier just to let them dry out, be patient, and put a fire on top, and they'll burn down right into the ground. This is a couple of days later now. I've cleaned up most of the brush. Okay, here you can see why the tree died. It basically got dry, lost all of its sap. The sap then cannot fill up the wormholes. The worms dig into the tree and they eat under the bark and kill the tree. So because of the drought and worms, this tree was lost.